Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of EatFluencers. I hope you're well. The Quiche Lorraine is one of my favorite recipes. This elegant French tart is probably the most famous around the world. It has a buttery crust, a filling of caramelized leeks, smoked pork belly, and a savory egg custard. It is something you have to try when traveling to France. However, even if you are not in France, this quiche is very easy to make without too much effort. The tart consists of two main components, the crust and the filling. And the crust needs to be baked and cooled down before the filling goes into it. So let's start with that. For a tart pan that is 25 centimeters in diameter or 10 inches, you're going to need 300 grams of all-purpose flour, 300 grams of butter cut into cubes, and a teaspoon of salt. The butter needs to be as cold as possible, so keep it in the fridge until you need it. For the same reason, it is easier to use a food processor for this, because the warmth of your hands will melt the butter. Place the flour, the butter and the salt in the basket of your food processor, and using the pulse function, mix the ingredients for 2 seconds, then stop, then pulse again for 2 seconds. At this stage, you want to mix the butter and the flour to a sandy consistency, and be sure to scrape down the sides from time to time. After 4 or 5 pulses, check your dough. If it's dry and feels like sand, you're in the right track. Add 2 tablespoons of cold water and mix it at the lowest speed until it starts coming together. If you need more water, now would be the time to add it. Keep checking your dough by taking a small quantity and pressing it between your fingers. If it forms a clump, then it's ready. There is no specific time duration for this, it all depends on the flour and how well it absorbs moisture. When you're happy with your dough, empty it on a surface that you have covered with plastic wrap, and try to press it together to a ball shape. It won't come easily together, and this is exactly what we need. The less moisture the dough has in this stage, the flakier it will be when baked. Wrap the dough with a plastic film as tightly as possible and place it in the fridge for 30 minutes. This will harden the butter and the dough will pull itself together. Preheat your oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit, and after the 30 minutes has passed, take your dough out of the fridge. To make things easier, the dough can be rolled between 2 sheets of baking paper. Using your tart pan as a guide, keep checking the size. It has to be big enough to cover both the bottom and the sides and still have some extra dough to spare. In the end, the dough should be roughly half a centimeter thick and you should be able to see the small bits of butter along the surface. After you have rolled the dough to the desired size, cover the pan with a baking paper and lay the dough on top. Press the sides gently but firmly so that there isn't any gap between the dough and the sides of the pan. Remove any excess dough using a sharp knife. Now, because this dough contains a lot of butter, it tends to puff up during baking. A lot of people use ceramic weights, coins, or another tart pan on top of the dough in order to keep it flat. However, because we have used such a small amount of water, our dough can be baked without weights. To be certain, we are going to use a technique that minimizes the chances of puffiness. Using a fork, start piercing the dough gently, in a neatly pattern. Start with the bottom and continue to the sides. This will allow any remaining moisture to escape easily. And even though the holes are big enough to allow steam to escape, they are small enough to prevent our filling from leaking. Bake the tart in the preheated oven for 20 minutes, or until golden in color. After 20 minutes, the tart base should look like this. As you can see, it has cooked evenly, the color is light golden, and there is no puffed up crust anywhere. Now we need to leave it to cool down to room temperature while we prepare for our filling. For the filling, you are going to need the white part of a leek, thoroughly washed and chopped in medium-sized pieces, 100 grams of smoked pork belly chopped in cubes, 250 ml of heavy cream, and 1 whole egg. Using a non-stick or cast iron skillet over medium-high heat, lightly oil the surface and add the pork belly. Cook the belly until lightly browned and this will seal the flavor of the smoked pork. Continue by adding the leek and lower the heat to medium. We just want to soften the leek and not cook it all the way through. When it is done, remove the pan from the heat and let it rest. In a small mixing bowl, add the cream, the egg, a pinch of salt and a dash of nutmeg. Whisk them until they are completely blend together. By now, your tart base should have cooled down enough for us to work with it. First, start by adding a layer of your pork and leek filling and spread it evenly all over the surface of the tart. Make sure there are no empty spots. Although the original recipe does not call for any cheese, if you wish, you can add some of your favorite cheese, grated as fine as possible. My recommendations are either nice sharp cheddar or a sweet Gruyere. No matter if you add the cheese or not, the last step is to fill the tart with the cream-egg mixture. And it is best to do this after you have placed the quiche in the oven, otherwise you are in danger of spilling everything everywhere. Go ahead and place the quiche in the oven and fill it with the cream almost to the top. Bake at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit for 20 more minutes. After 20 minutes has passed, your quiche should look like this. And even though the temptation to dig in is very strong, it is advised to let it cool slightly and avoid third-degree burns to your mouth. The richness of the buttery crust combined with the sweetness of the leeks and the smokiness of the pork belly will blow your mind. Pair it with cherry tomatoes confit and maybe an arugula salad and a nice merlot, and you have a lunch fit for a king. I really hope that you try out this recipe, and if you did and you have liked it, then please leave a comment with your thoughts. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and maybe share it with your friends. Also, you can follow me on Instagram where I upload more often. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.